Hi everybody and welcome to our talk show. So today we'll be having a special guest who will be giving us her opinion on the importance of marriage and family. And she'll also go into depth about the Catholic Church's view on it. So let's welcome our guest, Jordan Tennant.
Thank you for having me here, Mary Ellen, and thank you everyone else in the audience.
Of course. Oh, and you can just call me Ellen.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to hear about your views on this. I mean, I've been waiting a long time. So are you able to introduce us a bit into this topic?
Yeah, for sure.
And maybe go in depth, explain a bit about the Catholic Church's view on it and their beliefs about the importance of marriage.
Yeah, alright. So marriage is actually defined as an intimate partnership between two people. It's where a man and a woman together actually become one. And marriage also has 5 key elements to it. There needs to be intimacy in the partnership. There also needs to be a covenant. It's like a promise, but a contract in a way as well. And marriage always obviously needs to have love in it. I mean, a marriage isn't going to work unless you love each other. The 4th thing is actually procreation. A marriage needs to be open to the idea of children. Together, children actually make the marriage stronger, and that's what every marriage needs. And 5th, a marriage between 2 people baptized actually creates a sacrament, and that's really a good thing to have in a marriage.
What does the Catechism say about this, though?
Well, as said by the Catechism, the spouses actually mutually give and take from each other. It's a covenant that arises from God Himself. Even the eyes of society can see it. This also teaches us that this marriage is, well, exclusive. You can't just go sleeping around. It's for you two and you two only.
Can you give us a little more info on the Catholic view of it?
Sure. The Christian marriage is actually a bond established by God. It's between 2 baptized people, and it's a sacrament. It's something just very amazing, and it lasts. And this is why it can't just be broken. This is why divorce is actually not allowed, because you just join 2 things by God, and it's irreversible. You can't just switch it.
That was a mouthful. Well, we know what it takes to have a good marriage, but after this commercial break, we'll find out why marriage is so important in our society.
Close up camera 1. The hero sings in this scene. The boy that gets the girl gets to go home where they get married. But stop the tape. The sunset still looks fake to me. The hero looks like he can't breathe. The damsel just left everything.
Okay, back from commercial break. Thank you. So before we left, I had to ask you why marriage is such an important thing in our society today. So do you mind explaining that a bit for us?
Yeah, for sure. Marriage is actually an essential building block in society, culture, and civilization. It's the binding of 2 people, and when they get married, they actually create their own little part in society. So it strengthens the bonds, but not only between the 2 people being married, but between institutions in society as well. Because when you get married, it creates a stable environment for children to grow up and to prosper. Some say that marriage is just a piece of paper that binds 2 people together with a signature. But it's not the paper that you sign that makes you guys married. It's the commitment between you and your spouse and God.
You said that marriage actually bonds people to the institutions in society. But how does the bond, how does it relate to the government?
Well, since the government regulates and protects marriage and legalizes it in the form of a contract, the people enter the contract promising to live with one another. And this is a permanent relationship from the government, actually. So committing to a marriage actually represents the couple's intention to form their own little social cell in society. This commitment is recognized by the society as well. So this is why people of authority need to be present when you actually commit a legal marriage to ensure that there is a genuine public vow made to your partners.
But why is a very active marriage important? Why should we marry instead of just living with one another? Is there really any difference?
Well, see, in the eyes of my own, and actually in the eyes of the Catholic Church, there is. Because, And although you may feel like the person you love and you want to be with your whole life is with you and that you don't need to get married, they're not committed to you. You guys have not been bound by God. Nothing is actually keeping you guys together. By being bound by God, you perform a sacrament that puts you guys together throughout life. It has been bound by God Himself. That's why it's so powerful for Catholics to marry at the presence of a witness. It's to make a promise in front of them all that you will stay together. And this is why without a marriage you can't fully commit oneself to each other, because nothing's there to prove that you will be there. See, with two separate people trying to live together without the marriage, it's like two separate souls when God intended it to be one body.
Wow. Thank you. That's a perfect spot to cut to a commercial now that I think about it. So we'll be right back.
Close up camera one. The hero sings in this scene. The boy that gets the girl gets to go home where they get married. But stop the tape. The sunset still looks fake to me. The hero looks like he can't breathe. The damsel just left everything.
So we already explained the marriage part about the Catholic view, but we missed family. So are you able to explain to us a bit more what is so important about the family part?
Sure. So the Catholic Church is actually built on community. And besides faith, I actually think it's one of the most important structures holding everything up. It is that sense of community that actually makes people feel like they belong and that they're important to something.
Of course.
It's what ties us all together and makes us feel, well, like the community that the church wants for us. See, the family should actually learn and provide its members with teachings that will help us take responsibility and give help to those people who need it, like the old, the young, the poor, the sick, the handicapped. But a lot of these families actually don't have the resources to help these people. But then the responsibility falls onto other people in society and other communities who are actually there to help, which is why family within a community is so strong. Because even though you and I may not be related, if I was in need of assistance, because we're a community, we're a Catholic community, you would be there for me. This is what is developed by a Catholic community within families. Instead of just one family surrounded by many others, we become one in one community. Family is very important for that reason. We are there for one another. And the Catechism actually states that we need to acknowledge that the true nature of marriage and family. We need to foster them and safeguard public morality and promote domestic prosperity.
Wow. So we talked about family with the church, and we talked about the church's views on the importance of it. So Jordan, we've heard all the views of the church and why they believe marriage and family matters, but we haven't talked about yours. So what's your view?
Well, one thing that has always bothered me actually is that the church's view on these topics like marriage and family seem to have fine print to them. I mean, if I talk to someone, anyone, and we talk about marriage, first they'll start by saying people do this, that, they go get married, they have kids, they have a wonderful life. But as I continue to talk to them, people actually switches to a man and a woman. And this bugs me particularly because I myself am gay. And to be told this, that the baseline and the structure for a marriage and for a family and even for society means that a man needs to be with a woman, is like telling me that I am wrong. Because I am told constantly that what I believe in and what I think to be right is a mistake. I've been told that I chose this, and because of that, I'm a sinner. And until I choose to be with a man, I'm going against God's wishes for me. But see, here's what I believe. I know that every Christian will agree with me when I say that God doesn't make mistakes. And He made me because He is what He is, and He made everything. And He is everything. But that means that I'm not a mistake. If He doesn't make mistakes, I was born like this. And to tell me, or to tell anyone in fact, that they are a mistake, that what they believe is wrong, is to undermine God's work. I was made this way for a reason, and although I would never want to change my preference, I wish with all my heart that someday, sometime, people would learn to accept one another. Because whether someone is white, black, rich, poor, striped, or polka dotted, I believe that everyone, especially Christians who were taught to love thy neighbor, should be accepting of others. Because although it may not be the color of our skin, the money in our pockets, or our sexual orientation, we all have one thing in common: God. And He doesn't make mistakes, which means I was born gay, and people have to accept that. Because although, yes, I was born gay, I don't think God ever intended anyone to be born hateful. And you should not have to choose between being true to yourself and being true to your God, because those things should come hand in hand. My view on how marriage matters in society is that it is one of the most fundamental building blocks to create the community we have so prominent today. I believe that without family, the world would be a very different place. We are not like other mammals on this planet who can just have you on and leave them. We have this connection to our youth, like we need to help them and that we need to care for them until they're 18 or finally decide to get a job. The point is, we have that connection. And to have children makes the marriage stronger, and it binds the parents even more because it creates that new person to love. And every city has thousands upon thousands of families, but together we all make a community. And that's how I feel like family is meant to be in a Christian society, because together, being surrounded by others, it does make one community and one society. And that's why marriage, which leads to family, which leads to community, is so important to me, and I believe so important to the Christians, because we all believe to have that one community is to have that really nice life.
Well, thank you, Jordan. Thank you for being here and sharing that not only the church's view on this matter, not just sharing theirs, but sharing your own and contrasting them. And thank you to the audience, or to anyone who's watching this right now and has the time to tune in. And remember, be kind to one another.
One, the hero sings in this scene. The boy that gets the girl gets to go home where they get married. But stop the tape, the sunset still looks fake to me.